Great defeaters, new and old. Welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown with your host, BaseDaKID, Tony, Pugilistboy. We are the children of the game. Tony, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, my friend. I'm a little bit tired after the carnival weekend,
Mm.
but it's been 2 years waiting, and it was welcome. The
Was you
people
there for
needed
both
that.
days, yeah?
Yeah. The people needed it, man. I was so happy to be amongst friends and family. It was a great opportunity to bump into many people. Big up, can I say, to all those defeaters that came just randomly in the street and said, "What's up, Tony?" And, I'm finding that more and more as I go out now, I'm getting a little bit notorious, and my family have started saying, "What's going on? Tony's getting held up by all these people in the street." So yeah, one and all, big up to yourselves for shouting me out in the street. It was great to meet you all. Even at events recently, I've been running into people who've been hailing me out. So big up to you guys for coming up and saying hello.
Okay, but you know what? I'm glad you're getting all the attention. I can slip off in the background and keep doing my thing. It's all good. No, I mean, I hope he wasn't there busting down no bus stops though. He was like,
I'm too old for that. But certainly there was a lot of indulgence. Let's put it that way. A lot of indulgence.
all right,
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
nothing. Who's in the chat? Who's in the chat?
So we got Miller was in early, but he's actually at the Crystal
Football.
Palace game. So
Yeah.
he's going to watch that later. But he came in and said hello. Untraceable Don, big up. Jay Lanks, big up to you, my friend. Uncle Jonah in the house, welcome. Mr. Ray, big up yourself. And James Douglas. Hey, welcome, James. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna be watching the football tonight, so might have a
yeah.
quick one.
Bruce Kai in the house, big up. Matty
Hey,
lad, what's up?
well, go on, Bruce. What's up, Matt? All right. Well, without further ado, I guess we got to address the elephant in the room. Let's not spend too much time on it because I know that it's probably frustrate and infuriate you. But so we had two cards on over the weekend. One DAZN card at the O2, which was the first of what they call a Misfits promotions alongside Wasserman and DAZN. Bunch of YouTube or public influencer boxing matches. I've seen some of the fights via highlights. Obviously, I didn't pay for the card. Neither did you. Although all the fights pretty much went up on YouTube the day after. That's normally unheard of for pay-per-view situation. But were there any of them at all that you watched?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
No
Right.
surprise there.
No, I'm not. But what I will say, so without getting into any details, like KSI done what he done. Both of his opponents were subpar, so no real need to go into that. I do want to highlight three fights, and I won't remember anyone's name per se. There's only two names I remember. Number one was Salt Puppy, the sort of the bigger overweight Filipino guy. I think he came out in a southpaw stance, so instantly he caught my attention. And you can tell that he's had some training, and not just like fleeting training. He was doing certain things before getting that very quick knockout that told you that this guy's been in the boxing ring before. Yeah, I'm going to give him a shout out. There was a guy, I think his name was something like Dangerous like Dean or something like that. The guy that basically tried to do the backflip and landed on his head. That brother. I know you saw
Okay.
the clip of that. Him.
Yeah.
He had some good boxing skills as well. So if in these events moving forward, he might actually be like someone to watch in as that. And then obviously I want to give a very quick shout to Deji for finally winning his first fight. Again from the southpaw stance, so obviously I had to give him some ratings for that. But he was popping the jab, hitting that 1-2 quite slick. So he was just setting himself up nicely for that Travis fight. On the prelude to the Travis versus KSI. or KSI versus Travis. I guess he is the A side. You got to give him
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I just wanted to put it out there and say it wasn't a particularly great thing for me, but there were some things which I've heard that is like real professional boxing could take away from the fact that it was full from the start of the event to the end,
Hmm.
rather than people just trickling in for the main event, which is I guess is a good thing. The people are engaged.
Yeah,
So as Ade said in one of his videos, maybe there are certain little things that you know boxing as it is traditionally can maybe take from events like that. But yeah,
yeah,
we can move on to the top rank card, which was
yeah.
a
I mean,
nice.
I will just comment very quickly on the things that I saw in Twitter where I don't know who it was, to be honest, but I did actually mean to clip it out. The positives and the things that boxing could take. They did seem very interesting. The fact that fights took place on time, the fact that the people stayed engaged throughout the whole card. Um, I'd be interested to know what causes that. Is that
I reckon it's probably because throughout the entire card, everyone who's on it is an influencer of some note. Yeah, so whether
okay?
they got a big YouTube channel, whether they're well known, so it's like okay, you because most people in there will know who they are. They're gonna stick
Yeah.
around. Plus the fact all the fights were short. Like they were all like
Okay.
3 rounders and 4 rounders, I think. So it's not like, you're sitting there for 10, 12 rounds of clinical excellence, like having to, scrap and assess if it's all fun fights. No one's got any major skill. So you're bound to see something. And then in some of the fights where maybe they lasted a bit longer than others, again, the
Yeah.
thing like the Deji fight, for instance, there was a storyline. Can he finally do it? So people were emotionally invested in his journey.
Mm,
So I can kind of see that's why people were engaged. And again, if
yeah.
they're starting on time, people know they're there. People know what time they're going to be there, what time they're going to leave. They're more likely to, sort of to be in that. And I guess yeah, as James was saying, KSI starting it, being the headliner as well, made sure people got there early because that's
Yeah.
who they're there for. That's who they paid their
Mm,
money for. So yeah,
cool. Cool. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so let's get into the stuff that we are sort of here to mainly concentrate on, the stuff that was professionally paid for. The card from PBC, was it a PBC
no,
show?
top rank.
Top Rank, excuse me. Top Rank, headlined by Richard Comey against Jose Pedraza. A 10-round battle that
Yeah.
ended in a draw. I'll be honest with you, I only saw highlights.
Okay.
Obviously, lots of things going on this weekend, but I'll play the 50-second clips and let you tell me what you thought.
Cool. No, this fight was a very, very good fight. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. It started off a bit weird in my estimation. For the first 3 rounds, Jose Pedraza from the southpaw stance was literally sitting in the pocket with Richard Comey and trying to trade with him. Now, to me, I thought that was like a bit suicidal. He would very rarely sort of back off and use the ring, hit and move as he has been doing. He really stayed up close and was just like working on the inside with Richard. Um, but from the fourth round onwards, he stopped doing that. And I think what the tactic was, he was making sure, or he was basically thinking, all right, I can take his power, but I'm gonna make him throw, and I know that he throws his heart into every shot that he lets out. That there's nothing that's an arm punch or it's just pushing a punch out. Is full force. So by tucking up, staying defensive, like riding some of those shots, I can break down his gas tank a little bit, hit him to the body because he was doing a lot of good body work, some nice uppercuts, side of the ribs, a couple to the kidneys as well, like very sort of light, and then just a lot of like really stabbing in the inside. And he was doing that while obviously he was having to take some punishment as well. But from sort of round 4 or 5 onwards, Richard Comey started sort of gassing a bit. So at that point, Pedraza was using his feet moving a bit more, not enough that Richard's like running after him, but enough that he was always out of range. Because what I noticed that Richard was doing every time that his foot was in front of Pedraza's foot, rather than moving it off to the side to try and create angles for the shot, he was throwing his shots like from this point. Now at that point, with Pedraza almost leaning back, none of those jabs, none of those backhands were gonna reach him at any real velocity, or he would have enough to take the sting out of it. And that's pretty much, he was keeping himself safe by just staying away, because Richard wasn't getting his foot on the outside or even getting his foot on the inside and just closing the distance. Whereas every time Pedraza went to throw, the foot was always either just on the outside, or he made sure that he stepped just in front to make sure that he was like in range to be able to then close off with like lead hooks at that point. So in terms of accuracy, his shots were landing more frequently. They just didn't have the same power on them at the start. But moving through the rounds, his power kind of remained more consistent, whereas Richards dwindled a bit and he slowed down. It was a very it was tactically a very fun fight, and it was also very it was a fun action-packed fight as well. There was tactics, but there was action. It wasn't a fight whereby you had to be just cerebral about what's going on. And to me, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
Okay, so I'm probably going to get around to watching it at some point, because of very close links with Richard Comey. Because Richard, when he's in London, which he is sometimes, he trains at my home gym, which is the All Stars gym in Paddington. He's managed by the Brit Chris and Moo, and a good friend of mine helps manage him as well, which is I've forgotten his name now. But yeah, because of that link, you know, I've seen him firsthand several times in the gym. You know, he's a lovely guy. You know, very, very humble. Does a lot of work for all his people in
Ghana.
And the thing that kind of pops out at me is he's been off for a little while now. It was last May 21, I think, that he boxed last. So it's quite a long time since his last fight. He's 35 years old. And, you know, having lost 2 out of his last 4 fights and drawn this one, is he now getting to that point where he no longer is a viable fighter for a world title or to win a world title? Is he now becoming, you know, that difficult gatekeeper type fighter?
Well, I mean, possibly, but what I will say is this fight was the first fight at a new weight. So he's now moved up to 140 from 135. Sort of kind of growing into that. Pedraza's been there. Obviously, that Pedraza's a smaller guy as well naturally, but he's been sort of at that 140 level for a few fights now, so he's more accustomed to it. And Comey did well. It's just that I think through the stretch he just didn't have the same gas reserve. So I think if he's got to put on this extra 5 pounds and work on this extra 5 pounds, unless he's got time to properly like work it out, he's got to learn about not throwing everything behind every punch. He's maybe just got to set stuff up a bit more, and maybe that's something him and Andre can can negotiate. But like the performance itself, like I said, when you watch the fight, you'll see that it was one of those fights you could have given it either way. It was a very good fight. Both of them have still got aspirations for a title, and to be honest, the way that the titles are fragmented, they won't be able to pick up vacant belts, but the champions who are in contention for each of the belts that Josh Taylor doesn't have, none of them are like the strongest of the strongest. Like there is a possible chance that you can beat one of those guys. So
yeah,
I mean, he's still got a little bit left in the tank. It's just about if he really wants to apply himself.
Yeah, but I'm afraid to say that my other favorite fighter in that weight division, I think, is going to take over.
Okay, you want to tell the people?
Yeah, there are. Moving on.
So
the
you don't
chief.
want to tell the people who your other favorite fighter in that division is?
Yeah, it's the takeover, isn't it? It's the takeover
Okay,
2.0.
I just wanted you to make sure they understood who you was referring to.
Okay. Yeah, my good friend from Honduras,
Okay,
Teofimo Lopez.
okay.
So yeah, moving on to the chief support was Jared Anderson. I've got a little clip video and some pictures. 30 seconds. Do you want to talk about this?
I mean, I will be totally honest. I didn't actually see this one. This is the
Okay.
only one I didn't see. But I mean, I saw the shot that put the guy down. From all intents and purposes, what I've heard is that he got caught a bit more than he normally does. Um, I know he's been out of the ring for a little while. He had a hand injury that he had to sort out. But I mean, based off that, there it looks like he's still got that same explosive power. He's still managing to find his shots clean enough.
Yeah.
So I think it's time now just for him to get a step up, not majorly, because it's not about rushing him. He's 23. Heavyweights, they do not need to be rushed. He doesn't have no deep amateur pedigree, but yeah, just you bring him in now maybe against a top 30 guy, and just sort of see where see what that's like with him,
Yeah.
and you give him another step up after that if he comes through, and then you sort of get him in that sort of top 20 fighters off afterwards for one or two fights, then top 15 to the top 10s.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of echo exactly what you said in terms of his development, where he should go next. The one point I did want to mention was kind of off of the back of me thinking about where he goes next, especially in America. You know, who was it that was saying that Canelo doesn't want to fight Mexican fighters? And I heard them also mention that American fighters don't like to fight American fighters. And it made me think the heavyweight division is not blessed with a great deal of heavyweights that we can talk about. Obviously, Deontay Wilder and Jared Miller, Jared Anderson,
Jerry Forrest, Michael Hunter.
Yeah. And then there was talk about AJ moving over to America. And it made me think, is AJ not better off in the UK where he gets potentially better sparring if he picks the right people? Because do we not have a deeper, stronger list of heavyweight boxers?
To be honest, I don't think it's that much stronger, because if you think about it, all right, over here, right, who's he gonna be sparring? He can't spar Joe Joyce because they potentially might fight. Can't spar Dubois anymore. Chances of sparring Dillian is unlikely because they're probably gonna fight. So you're sparring like Johnny Fisher, like you're sparring Fabio Wardley. You might spar Riakpo, maybe a Coley because you were stable mates. Although the Coley thing isn't, maybe doesn't. So there's a lot of cruiserweights in there, but
Yeah.
for the actual heavyweights, no. Whereas if you go to America, you can pretty much spar all of them because you're above
You forgot
almost
Derek
all of those
Chisora.
guys. Yeah, but he's not going to. Sparring Chisora doesn't help him against most of the guys, apart, not even Andy Ruiz, because they're nothing alike.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the thing is, he has to spar people that he knows he's not going to get in the ring with. That's most of them when they're doing their sparring at that level. That's what they're thinking. So
is that technically true? Because let's be honest, boxing is a sport that we, would spar people we would fight with. I sparred pretty much a lot of people, including people I would end up in competition against. In the pro ranks, the same thing happens. Don't look at Ali sparred Joe Frazier and Larry Holmes.
When did he spar Frazier? I know Holmes.
When they was young, when Frazier was, because remember, Ali came out one Olympics, Frazier came out the next one.
Yeah. So but he sparred him when Frazier was on a different cycle to him.
Okay,
that's what I'm talking about. Whereas, and same with Larry Holmes. With these guys, they're all actively in that mix now, so they're not going to spar each other. That was my point.
I get that. But again, I also look at like the Klitschko brothers. They used to have all the British boxers over there. And yes, they would, look, Wilder was sparring with David Haye. They could have fought. They were
But
both
not at that
active at the
time. But
time.
that's the thing. They wouldn't have fought at that time. They weren't at the same level at that point. So
Mm,
you had the
yeah,
younger
yeah,
guys
yeah,
sparring to get that experience and that knowledge. You got
yeah,
the older guys sparring to get that test and the push, but they're not thinking this guy's on my level. I could be fighting him in 2 fights time. That's
yeah,
my
yeah,
point.
yeah,
So with regards to that, I think in America he's more likely to get more sparring because obviously there's more people out there. Whether the quality may be as good, there's going to be more people on that come up who aren't at that top level, or the ones who maybe are in and around that top level that
yeah.
they'll never
I
see.
question that. That's what I think. I
Okay,
question that because ultimately, look, as I said, there's not a great deal of good heavyweights out there in America. You name some of the top guys. I think some of them top guys wouldn't want to spar him anyway because they're probably thinking, I'm going to fight him in the next couple of fights. However, you kind of look at the vast mileage that you'd have to cover to get all those guys into a training camp. Are you just going to keep dashing across the country in order to spar those guys, or do you say, I'm here, come see me? Because that's
that's what
what
you
used
would
to
do.
happen.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what
got the
normally
cash. He's got
happens.
the cash. He would
Exactly.
make them come to camp, and he'd pay for
Exactly.
their stuff.
Yeah.
But
So
he could spar a
it's
Jared Anderson.
yeah, it's an interesting one.
He could spar Jared Anderson,
Yeah.
Jeremiah Milton. He could spar Jerry Forrest because
Mhm.
these are guys that he's never gonna get in the ring with.
Yeah.
He could spar people like Rooney Hines, who's someone that not a lot of people know. Cassius Chaney. Like there's a lot of them that you actually probably haven't heard of. Like even people like Mike Balogan. He
Mhm.
can spar these men because these men are never getting in the ring with him, but they're gonna
Yeah.
give him
Yeah.
the test that he needs. So I think it's a
And I think
worthwhile move.
F.A. Jagba's based out of America now as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I
Okay.
don't want
Let's
him to spar FA because I want him to fight him in Nigeria. I
okay.
told you I want him to get that global money. Like you can leave
Yeah,
the
for
UK
real.
for a minute.
No, you know what? You're absolutely right. And look, Nigeria's got the capability to host such a fight, and considering that they don't attempt to try to bring the real big names in boxing to America to Africa. We haven't seen a big card since the Rumble in the Jungle. So it's really I believe the time. I think AJ really should look closer to trying to do something in Nigeria, and as you said, Ijagba would be a great foil for that. Dread Paul, welcome to the chat. AJ used to spar the GB boxers, I think, but now he's not with McCracken. I guess he don't anymore. Maybe Fraser still. Now he's a pro. Yeah, that's possible. Phil Larkin says, "Is it to do with there being a greater diversity of styles in the USA?" Great content, chaps. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
I'm not sure if the heavyweights in America offer that diversity any longer. I mean, certainly of years gone by, historically, America has had this huge line of heavyweights that you could just go, wow, there's just so many options when you come to trying to find recent, good sparring. I'm not so sure that is so deep. My recent trips to America, I think my last one was 2019. What year was AJ Ruiz in New York?
2019.
2019, right? So I remember going into Gleason's, which I always do when I'm in New York, and looking around. Never saw any heavyweights. Never saw any heavyweights, and it's something I see a lot of in a lot of gyms in America. I see because I make it's like my duty to whenever I go to a new place, find a boxing gym, get in there, shoes in. You never know who you might run into. And I very rarely see the heavyweights in there. So it kind of makes me question that deep, list of credible heavyweights from America who could, offer good
But
sparring.
you know what? The thing is, even saying that, and yeah, they may not have like the biggest depth of heavyweights just because obviously most of those people end up in football or basketball right now. But
Mm.
they've got some good cruiserweight to middle in and around light heavies. Sometimes you need those kind of guys, but also
Yeah,
you don't have to just use the ones that are over there. You can fly people in.
yeah,
Just set
yeah,
up your camp over there. You can have a mixture of everything, but fly them in over there and
yeah,
then have them set up. And you can that way you can get all different types of variations because you can even get those other guys being trained in some of the American ways while you're sparring in the gym anyway. So you just kind of
yeah.
get a little bit more variety and flair that way.
Okay. All right, let's move on. I'm actually just going to show this Jared Anderson knockout one more time because it was so quick and it just made me think, you know what, let's see it one more time for those who
Sure.
didn't get a chance to see it. And a couple of new guys have just jumped on the chat. Left hook, right cross. Yeah, nice
I just
combo.
like the fact he's telling the guy, get up. Like, what are you saying down for? Get up. Like, take
Okay,
your
the other
beating.
fight that was on the card that was of interest, it wouldn't have probably been of interest had it not been for the violence that was inflicted, is Richard Torres.
No, it was always going to be of interest to me because he's like the new heavyweight prospect. Just from the last Olympics, like he's the only
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
that was around. And his style, if you look at his style, it's very, I say it's very Alan Babbage-esque.
Mm,
Like you look at it, it's very it's not wild, but he's like he crouches in low, he lumbers, he sort of like springs in, stays like close to your chest, short hooks. And like if you can't handle that and you don't have a punch to kind of keep him away from you or to keep him outside and hesitating before jumping in, like he's always gonna just be uncomfortable for those type of boxers. Anyone
mm,
his height or just a little bit taller.
yeah. So as I said, as you mentioned, he's a former Olympian, so he's got good um, foundation because you don't go to the Olympics without being able to box. He would have gone through lots of qualifiers before getting the opportunity to represent the US. And then obviously he's now making a name for himself. This is a 9-second clip of that knockout, but what it doesn't show is the wreckage that he left after. You know, he takes this guy out. Watch that guy's face planted in the ground. And what you didn't see was the guy was there for ages. And then like it took someone from outside the ring to come in and turn the man over because he was on his face. You know, what was your take on that knockout?
Yeah, I mean, like he's got hands and he knows how to use them and he knows where to hit. So
Mm,
he's very. I was saying to somebody, he reminds me a little bit of he looks a little bit like Morrison.
Tommy Morrison.
Yeah, like very slight, but also he looks way older than 23.
Yeah, it's the
I don't know if
mustache.
it
It's
might
the
be, but
porn
he
star mustache.
yeah.
Because I've seen this was a new addition, the mustache. Because previous fights he didn't have the mustache. And you look at it, you look at him now, and like obviously he's got that very sort of 1980s curly hair. And it's like, well, you know, I don't know what that look is, but it kind of comes straight from Miami Vice or something. But yeah, a destructive knockout. He's definitely announced himself. I saw some people writing on Twitter that was potential for KO of the year.
I mean,
But
possibly.
yeah, he's put himself on the map. So the only other fight in action that I think we can mention from the weekend just gone was on Friday night, Florian Marku.
Yeah, I think it was Thursday.
Was it Thursday? Sorry,
I
yeah,
think it was,
Thursday.
yeah.
You're right.
But I didn't see it. I still haven't
Yeah.
watched it till now.
So he had a little bit of action. Here's a bit of it. It was in his own country in Tirana.
I heard it was a big open air stadium as well, and it was full. So
Yeah, and
I
he's
mean, they might.
obviously appealing to his countrymen because you know they were in full attendance. Seeing as you didn't watch it all and I didn't watch it all, there's very
It's
little else we
the
can
one thing
say
I was
about
saying
it.
is it's very weird the fact that Sky had like 8 channels on, and I think they had 4 channels showing racing, the same race or something, and not one of them showed that fight, but they just kept it all on the YouTube channel. That to me was a bit strange when
Mm,
they're supposed to be invested in him, I guess, was part of boxer. But yeah, I mean, yeah, for anyone who saw the YouTube part, cool. But
yeah. Okay, so that's really last weekend's action covered, which turns our attention now to stuff that we've got coming up. James Douglas just coming in on the end of what we said previously about you always hear about US sparring being more competitive than UK. Yeah, it's interesting that. So next week, or this weekend coming up, we've got a couple of cards. The UK card is Liam Smith. I don't know anything about his opponent.
I do. McKeano. I can't remember the guy who it was that he fought though. He came in as an opponent against who was it? 154. All right. Basically, he came in as an opponent on a couple of occasions, and on the first time he was supposed to just be a tick over for one of, I think it was Frank Warren's guys, and like this was like years back, and I think he absolutely splattered him, and then he's pretty much was on a tear like from then up until now. Like he's had like I think one loss since then, and I think it was like one of those sort of controversial split decisions. I haven't seen all of his fights, but I've seen enough of him to know that he's a very hard puncher. And with regards to this isn't just some keep busy fight for Liam Smith. He's gonna have to be switched on.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean, I don't know much about the guy. He's from Tanzania. He's got a record of 20 wins, 14 by KO, lost twice, been KO'd once. Julius Indonga, he TKO'd Julius Indonga in 4 rounds in his last fight, which was in September of 2021. So he's another fighter who's been out of action for a full year. Going to be interesting. Okay. And Sam Edgington. He KO'd Sam Edgington in 2 rounds. It was a 10-round fight back in 2018.
That's one. I think there was one before then as well. But yeah, I know that he was brought in just to be cannon fodder. And he just flipped the script on its head. It might have been the Eglinton fight.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, Liam Smith on the comeback trail, looking good. He's been active. It will be interesting. It will be interesting. I think it's got sort of the potential to go the distance. You know, their records kind of tell me that, you know, they've got both good power, but maybe not enough to KO the other guy because they've between them only been KO'd once each. Anything else on that particular fight?
No.
Okay. The fight on that card that I want to talk about is this one. Dan Aziz versus Shakan Pitters. This to me is a great matchup at light heavyweight. Obviously, Dan is defending his British title. Shakan on the comeback trail. I mean, he's had a few fights now. You know, trying to re-establish and get himself up that rankings of, you know, very talented light heavyweights in the UK. What's your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I haven't seen much of Shaq since obviously the loss to Craig Richards. But what it does look like from what I have seen is that he's actually built up a lot more of his lower body, like in his actual core strength, because he was always sort of he was like more top heavy in terms of where his weight was distributed. But I feel like he's built his lower half to sort of match and replicate that now. So if he can not give up his height, which is very notorious for doing, especially being 6'6", and he can box a bit taller. Not hugely, like not standing up, straight, but box a lot taller, like box behind the jab, keep everything long, and get full extension on his punches. He's gonna cause Dan a lot of problems just trying to get inside of his guard to obviously get his work off, because Dan's not gonna be able to sort of box with him from the outside. That's not his game. He's
Yeah,
gonna have to use his explosivity just to be able to find his angles, to
yeah,
get inside that range, and then try and stay on the inside. He can't let Shaq get too far away from him at any point in the fight, because Shaq Peters doesn't have very good like inside work or tight hooks or anything. Everything is more sort of long and looping, and Dan will
yeah,
always be able to catch him in between shots. And Dan's
mm,
got a much higher work rate than Shakan. So
yeah,
provided he, like I said, provided he gets on the inside safely and manages to stay there and stays on his chest and doesn't allow Shakan Peters to dictate the pace and the tempo of the fight, then he should remain champion. I
yeah,
think it would end up being a points thing. He might just have to outwork him as opposed to being able to stop him.
yeah. And Shakan Pitter's knockout ratio doesn't suggest a guy who's capable of knocking out Dan Aziz. Dan's a strong kid. We know that for a fact. Shakan's 17 fights. He's only had 6 KOs. Interestingly, 2 of those KOs have come in his last 3 fights, but against cannon fodder, in all honesty. Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much right. He has to use his length. He has to use what he has to his advantage. Dan will obviously be looking to engage inside. He's very good at that inside work. He'll want to stay on Shakan's chest and make him work from there. It will be an interesting one, and I think your prediction of a long distance fight will hold true. I think this goes a distance. I predict Dan Aziz to win, but I think Shakan is more than capable of giving enough trouble through certain rounds to make it a close fight. Cool. Okay, the next fight on that bill that you're going to be interested in is Tasha Jonas fighting Bagol. You want to tell us about your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very good fight for Tasha, to be honest. And this is also going to be a very hard fight. Bagul is very much seasoned as a super welterweight. She's been at the division for quite a while now. I think she started at 160 and came down. And if I remember correctly, the only fight I can remember her losing was to what's the girl's name again? It's the girl that Clarissa Shields beat for the 160 titles. It will come to me later on. Anyway, but yeah, so whereas obviously last time Natasha was fighting Chris Namas, who obviously she aged and rusted overnight to sort of gain the title. Now she's actually in there with someone that's seasoned at the weight, is comfortable there and is fairly active as well, and a reigning champion. So there is no.
You
It's
say
not.
she's active. She ain't boxed since November 21.
That's active enough for. Trust me, for her, like
Yeah,
that's active enough. Like, and if you look at
and
what
and
she's.
and then and then that was one fight in 2 years, because the previous fight was in 2019. She fought 3 times in 2019, didn't fight in 2020, then one fight at the end of 2021, and then another year out almost before she fights Tasha. So that's, to me, not a great deal of activity, because you're basically talking about 2 fights in 3 years.
Yeah, no, the reason obviously she didn't fight in 2020 was pandemic. She didn't have a backing behind her to get
Okay.
fights. So that's that. Obviously, last year she could only get the one because that was towards the where obviously she comes from. Things were a lot more strict, a lot more stringent.
Yeah,
But
Sweden.
if you look, obviously 2019, as you said, she had fought 3 times then. So when I say when I'm saying active, I'm not saying okay, she was having 2 or 3 fights a year for the last several years, but in terms of like she's not rusty. Like that November, she's one of those people she can be out of the ring for like 10, 11 months and be fine.
Mhm.
It's kind of thing. Like Terence Crawford is, he ain't been in the ring since last November, but
Yeah.
like, he's not going to take too much time to sort of get back into the flow. But just my point with regards to Jonas, obviously, it's better for her the fact that Bagul has only had the one fight in the last year and a half
Yeah.
because she's still coming up and acclimatizing to this weight. But Bagul, because she's been here, she's aware of that. She's obviously aware of what it takes and what is required to be a champion up there. So it's going to be a much harder test. Um, but I suspect that Jonas's extra speed is gonna be the key in this fight, and I think she's gonna employ more hit and move tactics as opposed to trying to sort of stand in the pocket like she did with Namas and actually trade.
Hmm.
That to me would make the most sense, but ultimately, Tasha does like to do her own thing, so we don't know.
Okay. And it's a unification bout
Yeah.
between WBC and WBO. So always an interest when you've got titles on the line for both fighters. So they've got some. They definitely have something to defend. Um, Great. Some couple of comments are coming. Jay Lands with the Flames. Thank you. James Douglas. Interesting. She had a fight with Hannah Rankin, which she won. That's Bagolt. Dreadpool, yeah, Bagot has a win over Hannah Rankin. Yeah, that's confirmed. So yeah, interesting one there. What else have we got coming up this week? And let me have a look and see what's in the book. So just looking down that card, just seeing if there's any other names that jump out. Fraser Clark is on there versus TBA. You wanted to talk about
TBA
that
is very
TBA's.
busy. TBA
Yeah,
is very busy this weekend.
yeah,
I mean, he should be getting paid extra.
yeah. Adam Azim is on there. Always going to be interested to see what he does. Looks like they're just throwing anything at Adam Azim at the moment. The two Azim brothers. The thing is, at least they're regular. They're getting out regular, which
I
is
mean,
good
yeah,
to
that's
see.
fine and all, but like they need to fix that because you can't keep having these cards and people don't know who these other
Yeah,
people are fighting and just having essentially almost knockover job after knockover job because after a while you stop getting you're not interested anymore.
yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure half the time when AJ initially came up, like his fights, you didn't see TBA the week of his fights. Like at least we knew who he
Yeah.
was getting in the ring with, whether they were a journeyman or not. Like so, Sky have they got to step up. They got to get their matchmakers working a bit more efficiently.
Definitely. Cool. Okay. Okay, so the other big card this week in America, which is Sunday, and it pits these two protagonists against one another. Now, you and I are probably going to disagree on this one because I
Okay.
kind of favor Luis King Kong Ortiz for this fight.
Okay.
What's your thoughts?
Um, I mean, normally I might have agreed with you, but the one thing that I think is not in his favor, he's got the activity over Ruiz at the moment, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But Ruiz is used to having prolonged stints out of the ring, but I don't think Ortiz has got the necessary punch resistance at the moment to be able to stay in this fight. Like one thing we know about Ruiz is he's got a chin, he can take a punch.
Yeah,
Even with the areola thing, like that was I think that was an anomaly of trying to lose so much weight at one time and whatever. It doesn't look like he's gonna come in doing the same thing. But he's got the fast hands. Ruiz, like Ortiz has the footwork, he's got the technical ability, and obviously the southpaw stance is gonna be a problem for Ruiz to manage. But I just feel like once Ruiz gets anywhere close to him, he's going to get those punches off before Ortiz can defend them or get out of the way of them. and I just don't think he's got the punch resistance to withstand them for the full 12 rounds of this fight. And just looking at the Charles Martin fight, I remember he was dropped twice in that before, he obviously pulling it out of the bag right at the end. But he's a good puncher, but he's not like the strongest. He's not the heaviest of punchers. And sort of Ortiz was just having, he's having a bit of a mare in there. So, and look, age catches up with everyone, and clearly his age is more advanced than we truly know, based on all reports. So, yeah, everything fades when you get older, innit? And I think his time is now.
The disrespect. Put some spec on man's name. Yeah, Bernard Hopkins, George Foreman. Do I need to continue telling you of great fighters who boxed well into their 40s?
They're called.
Just because
You know what they're called? They're called anomalies. They're not the norm.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you now. I think Luis Ortiz is an anomaly. I do, and you're right. He's older than his years really tell, but I think he's an anomaly. I think he's very capable in this fight. Look, I just like the guy. I think he's very entertaining. I think he's very diligent. He works hard. He's never come in not looking in shape. He still has ambition. I don't think he's quite ready to be relegated to the gatekeeper status. And with only 2 defeats on his record, why should you consider him until he's really and properly got beaten a few times? And there's no shame in the way that he's lost those 2 to Deontay Wilder. He was well in both fights. Certainly in one of them, I would say he was up. He's boxed some good guys and he's won. So I'm willing to see the old boy show the young buck a few things and school him. And of course he's got good pedigree. A very good amateur.
Okay.
And some of those fundamentals will be interesting. The thing with Andy Ruiz, is he's slow of feet but fast of hands. Yeah, I'm not sure if that creates enough of a problem for Luis Ortiz, because Luis Ortiz don't have to run nowhere to get Andy Ruiz. He ain't going to be dancing around, running around the ring. They're pretty much going to be close to each other for sufficient amount of time. It's just a matter of, who can work each other's timing out a bit quicker. And if you ask me, Ortiz has more power in those tight skirmishes. But hey, be interesting. Let's see what the people are saying. Maestro, big up my guy. Okay, so Rowan Perry, welcome Rowan. Ortiz's legs are shot, and if he can't get away from Ruiz, he will get overwhelmed. Don't believe that, my friend. I personally don't believe that. Why are you saying his legs are shot? I don't understand the thought process of why would we say his legs are shot. If he can't get away from Ruiz, I don't think he wants to get away from Ruiz. I think he wants to stand in front of Ruiz, use his size because he's a bigger guy, and out punch the guy, find better angles. As I said, definitely Ruiz has the faster hands, but I'm pretty certain King Kong, I got something to counter that. Star Fox WR45E, Ruiz versus Ortiz, big man versus old man. Yeah, and I'm not sure if we can call Andy Ruiz the big man anymore. He slimmed down quite a bit. It will be interesting to see what he weighs in at.
He's going to be in the 250s, the mid 250s.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. James Douglas says, Tony, I'll be surprised if Ortiz takes this one. Yeah, I think it will be a shocker to the boxing world should he win it, because I think Andy Ruiz is without doubt probably the money favorite to win this. Ortiz is old as Father Time, yeah. Where are we? Maestro Ortiz Caribbean Power. Yes, my brother. My pay-per-view prediction, 20 views. I don't know what that sells. I mean, it's mad that it's on pay-per-view. Absolutely ludicrous.
On two different platforms as well. It's a Fox Sports pay-per-view and it's a Fight TV pay-per-view, both in America.
Unbelievable.
That's mad.
Maestro agrees with me. So he says, I'm going to be salsa dancing Sunday night, stroke Monday morning. Excellent. Look forward to catching up with you Monday night, Maestro. Ruiz got dropped by 41-year-old Ariola. Anything can happen in this fight. Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, they're big guys. These things can happen. If Ruiz starts dancing around the ring, expect an earthquake to follow. Ortiz is going to stand and trade. He's going to rip right hooks and straight lefts to the body. Yep, I can see that. Cool. So that's the main action on that card. On the undercard, we have got a couple of other old-timers in Abner Maris promoting himself. I'm back. The legacy continues. Fighting a guy, Miguel Flores. Not a great deal to talk about with that fight, in all honesty. It's a comeback fight. He's been inactive for a while, and I'd expect him to win this one. But
you know who he's coming back for, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. Trilogy, right?
No. He's coming back to fight Tank Davis. If he comes back in this fight, watch him fight Tank Davis in his next fight.
Okay. That would be a whitewash. That would just be lambs to the slaughter. What else is on that card? Let's have a look and see what else. So, is that Cruz against Eduardo Ramirez? Jose Valenzuela, the youngster, against Jezreel Corrales. Charles Martin against Devin Vargas.
So yeah, Devin Vargas is the one that Zhang fought just before he fought Hergovich. The one he splattered in the first round, I think it was, or the second round, with that backhand.
So there's a lot of fighting on that card, coming from the Crypto.com Arena, Los Angeles. Anything interest you there, Base?
No, just I guess Charles Martin getting back in the ring.
Really?
I mean, no, you didn't let me finish what I was about to say.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just saying getting back in the ring just after obviously getting beat. So just seeing him back active is a good thing. Hopefully he can parlay that into a decent fight like later on, or as active as you can be on the PBC schedule at least.
He's a gatekeeper for me.
Well, I didn't say I was expecting him to be a challenger, but just have him there. He can fight. He can be in some decent fights. The Abnormares thing is to me is interesting just from I know why he's coming back. And then it's that Cruz. I mean, you know, obviously they're just building him up for the Tank rematch when that does eventually happen, because it's going to.
Base is frozen.
I will purchase it on Fight, but I'm going to make sure that I buy it through my VPN so I get it on the US price and not the UK one.
Clever guy, this guy. Okay, so that completes our review of this weekend's action, guys. Some big fights still to come up. We're only a couple of weeks out now from the big all-ladies show. I must admit, I'm very excited about this. I am very, very excited about this. Since we last spoke, Haney Cambosis was announced. Fury Hunter is being listed as the WBA final eliminator. Of course, we got Wilder Helenius coming up as well. And just for you, Maestro, there you go. Carnival, boy. Carnival. We was there, boy. You should have been there.
We
So,
wasn't there, Maestro. He was there. Like, Tony did all the work himself. I had nothing to do with it.
oh, mate, I miss Carnival. I'm telling you now, I'm a massive Carnival fan. I've been to pretty much most of the big carnivals around the world: Brazil, Trinidad, Guyana, Rotterdam, Nottingham, Leeds,
I've been Trini.
Caravana in Toronto, 4th of July in New York. So, yeah, I love me a carnival. So I've just got one left for my to complete my set, and that's Mardi Gras, which I was supposed to do when Katrina hit. Weirdly, I was all ready, and then Katrina hit. I was like, oh man. But yeah, that's the last one for me to hit. Yeah, done Caravana in Toronto. Labor Day is next Monday. Yeah, that's a big day in America. So yeah, guys, I think I'm pretty much done. Base, what's going on in your YouTube channel, buddy?
Well, all right, so I'm trying to get a show done for tomorrow. It should hopefully be the return of the Femme Files. I need to get some stuff sorted. Tomorrow is a bit of a difficult day to actually do anything, so I literally got to do it. I'll finish it off after I do this, and then just set it to upload in the morning. Those of you who know. Those of you who don't worry about it. It's fine. So that's that. But also to let people know who I haven't told already. So I did a video the other day, just letting people know that I'm going to be doing and have more time for some content on my channel. Like I'll be doing more videos per week. Still only on the days where there is no undefeated obligation. So Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays are always going to be out. But Wednesdays, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there will be more content. I resigned from my job earlier on today. I do have a new job that I'm going to be starting soon, but I'm going to be a lot more remote and mobile, so I'll be able to do a lot more on the fly, which means I'll be able to get more stuff out. So that's basically how that's going to pan out. I've been talking with KG and Travis behind the scenes about some other bits and pieces. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to take the leap with certain things, but there may be a bit more on the road content with regards to the undefeated channel as well. So we're just going to see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, as you can see in the banner below, you got Tony's socials down there. You just have my socials. You just find me, BaseDaKID, the hardcore casual, on pretty much anything, or just you type in BaseDaKID anywhere, you'll find the name. And yeah, we keep moving, and I will hopefully try and get some content out tomorrow. If I don't, then I'll have to triple up videos on Friday, as I will have some free time to do so.
Cool. We'll just bottom out these last few messages from the guys in the chat. Purse bid was one for Josh Buatsi versus Jean Pascal by DeBella Promotions. Tony been doing some dotty wine in his downtime. Hell yeah. And you know, as a teacher, when you got some downtime, enjoy it, because I got literally tomorrow is my last day of peace and quiet, and then Thursday I'm back to school. Check out Keith Thurman's message to welterweight division. Is that a new one, Maestro, since the rant last week? Because that rant last week was just jokes. It was just pure jokes. You think Ben can trouble Keith? Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Keith Thurman is such a waste of talent. Do I think he can be relevant in the welterweight division any longer? I'm surprised he even makes welterweight anymore, to be honest. I don't want to write him off completely, because there's nothing to say he's lost, capability. But the fact that he's inactive so much, and he's just flouting a big mouth, just makes him, to me, just not. I don't appreciate it. I really don't. A man running around calling himself one time and I'm the best and I can beat all these guys and I can school. Nah, sorry. Shut your mouth. Get in the ring. When you start winning some fights, then let's talk about it. Your thoughts, Base?
I mean, you pretty much said everything I need to say.
Cool. Maestro Manager was looking to sign you up. Big up the man then from Star Fox. Facts, Tony. Thank you. It's dropped on Showtime's YouTube. Okay, I'll have a look at that a bit later. Very entertaining watch. Facts up was about the school year coming up. Yes. So, guys, thank you very much. Have a lovely week. Enjoy the boxing this weekend, as we've seen two fairly deep cards to look out for. And we'll obviously be back next Tuesday to chop that up and break it all down for you ahead of.
Might be a bit of a bumper episode next Tuesday as well,
absolutely,
guys. So.
Yeah, because we've got some huge fights to dissect for the following week. Travis and KG will be on their pod on Thursday. And of course, look out for Monday Night Smoke on Monday. But once again, guys, salute to you all. Thank you very much. We will see you again real soon.
What's up, guys?